Java, in Indonesia, is crowded with some of the most awe-inspiring and destructive forces in nature. Volcanoes. A team of filmmakers from Japan has come to see how living in a volcano's shadow can be both a blessing and a curse. They see how volcanoes furnish an industry and help nourish the land. And they witness the terrible devastation they leave in their wake. Great nature uncovers the sights and secrets of Java, the land of fire mountains. Indonesia is one of the world's most prominent volcanic regions, and the island of Java is home to 40 highly active volcanoes. Java stretches for 1,000 kilometers and is the destination for the great nature film crew who want to explore this volcanic hotspot. Joining them is volcano expert and photographer Doni Wijianto.
My name is Donny.
Doni was born in Java and has been fascinated by volcanoes since he was a child. He studied volcanology at university, has worked as a volcano guide for tourists and researchers, and photographed many volcanoes during his travels. He's visited many of Indonesia's 130 active volcanoes and often works through the night to make sure he doesn't miss a photographic opportunity. The crew's first stop is the eastern tip of the island to visit one of Java's most active volcanoes, Ijen. Ijen rises over 2,300 meters, and a constant plume of white smoke billows from its crater. As the crew get closer to the volcano, their excitement builds. This is as far as they can travel by car. From this point, they're on foot.
This is all the equipment we need, yes?
Water, food and camera equipment is carefully unpacked as they prepare for the climb ahead. Gas masks and goggles are a potent reminder of the explosive world they are entering. It's a 5-kilometer walk to the summit. Luckily, they have a team of villagers to help carry their equipment. There have been 6 giant eruptions at Ijen in the last 100 years. Due to the constant risk, access to Ijen is often restricted. Until just a month ago, the crew's visit wouldn't have been allowed.
Yeah. Here you go. behind to that mountain, Take-san. Yeah. Yeah, we go up. Behind that dark mountain, there is a Aegean crater.
Oh, behind that mountain.
Yeah.
Despite being so close to an active volcano, it is a surprise to see a well-maintained path has been built here. The reason why comes into view. One by one, men come down the mountain path, each weighed down with baskets of yellow rock. They are carrying chunks of sulfur, mined from the edge of the simmering volcano. Eventually the sulfur will be taken to factories, but first it needs to be weighed. Sulfur is a major ingredient in rubber production, and Indonesia is the world's second largest rubber producer. They've been mining sulfur at Aegean since 1965.
Would you like to try? If you can do it, I give you 100,000.
Yeah.
Okay, try this one. It looks small.
Not so heavy.
You can try it.
Okay. ちょっと持ってみますね、じゃあ。
Hiramu finds out just how tough the demands of the job are.
Very heavy.
Wages are determined by the weight of sulfur each man collects.
Very heavy.
Very heavy.
75.
75、75か。すごいね。
A miner bears the scars of over 20 years' hard work. Aegean is the country's leading sulfur producer. 4 tons are mined here every day. The crew presses on towards the summit. As they climb higher, the landscape changes dramatically. Trees have been scorched during an eruption.
Eruption in 1998.
Eruption?
Yeah, from the Aegean. Yeah. They're all water floating in this way. We can see many dead trees. We can see the crater, Pakistan.
As the crater finally comes into view, green gives way to grey. Due to the constant stream of volcanic gas, plants can't grow here.
Oh, that's the lake, Pakistan.
Aegean's crater stretches over a kilometer. For Hiramu and the crew, it's an exhilarating and overwhelming sight. A huge cliff over 200 meters tall drops down into the crater. At the bottom is a vast crater lake. It covers 60 hectares, is 180 meters deep, and is the largest crater lake in Asia. Thick plumes of volcanic gas fill the air. The crew begins a careful descent into the crater. Miners slowly pass by, each weighed down with baskets of sulfur.
Very heavy, yeah?
As the gas thickens, it's time for the gas masks.
Put the gas mask on there.
The gas contains toxic sulfur dioxide and hydrogen sulfide. Both can be dangerous when inhaled. Gas constantly billows out from the sides of the crater. And it is powerful enough to corrode metal. The deeper they drop, the stronger the gas becomes. Huge rocks litter the ground. Their cinder, lumps of solidified lava left behind after an eruption.
Yeah.
Local people call this the kitchen, and it's easy to see why. The smell of sulfur is soon overpowering. Here in the kitchen, miners are hard at work. After the sulfur is broken up, it's packed into the baskets so it can be carried away. Sulfur dioxide is a major component of volcanic gas, and cast iron pipes draw the gas directly from openings near the volcano, called fumaroles. The gas gradually cools as it passes along the pipe, and the sulfur starts to solidify. Liquid sulfur oozes onto the ground like treacle.
Look at this. This is the fresh liquid.
As it's exposed to the air, it cools and hardens. The yellower it is, the purer. As well as the heat and gas, miners also work alongside the constant risk of eruption. Sulfur mining is a hard and dangerous job, and one the people of Indonesia have passed down the generations for over 50 years. The reason Ijen produces such large amounts of sulfur lie in its geology. Beneath the crater is the magma chamber, the place magma is stored. In many volcanoes there is one magma chamber, usually around 5 kilometers underground. But at Ijen, it's thought there is a second chamber, only 2 kilometers beneath the crater. As this second chamber is in shallower ground, the amount of rock above it is smaller. As a result, there is less pressure around the chamber, so the volcanic gas within the magma can leak out easily. The constant plumes of gas are evidence that the magma is close to the crater. Volcanic gas is also released beneath the crater lake. As a result, the lake is highly acidic.
This is acid water. Yes. Very sour. That's why there's no fish.
No fish.
No fish, nothing to live inside the lake. It's very poison. Easy to break the metal.
By taking a sample of water from the lake, Doni will be able to determine how active Ijen is.
I will go to the lake, yeah. Around 15 to 20 minutes, yeah. Possible, maybe I want to check the temperature and also the acid, yeah.
The crater lake is so acidic, it can dissolve an aluminium can in 20 minutes. To get the sample means braving a dinghy. And to get the most accurate information, Doni wants to go to the middle of the lake.
How much?
39.
39.
Yeah.
The water is over 20 degrees warmer than the air. A sample is collected and the dinghy hurriedly hauled back to shore.
Yeah, take your time. So let's check how many pH from the lake, yeah?
They test the pH of the water to measure its acidity. A neutral pH is 7. The lower the number, the stronger the acidity.
Look. 0.8.
0.8.
Yeah. I can say this is the most highest acid lake in the world. Yeah? In the world.
3 months ago, the pH was 0.5. As the number is still low, Doni can tell Ijen is still very much alive.
The high acid and the high condense of the sulfur, yeah. This is the sign that the volcano is active.
Active.
Yes, and active, that doesn't mean that will be eruption, yeah. But this is one of the most active volcano too, yeah, in Indonesia.
There is another unique phenomenon seen at active volcanoes, which is only apparent at night. As the sun starts to sink, a flickering glow starts to become visible in the gas. As dusk draws closer, it becomes even clearer. By 7 p.m., daylight has disappeared. Bright blue flames light up the darkness. The crew are keen to take a closer look.
Right, yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. I think way up in there. Yeah, very hot. Very hot. You can feel it is warm. Yeah.
It's about 600 degrees, more than 600 degrees.
The second magma chamber of Ijen volcano is only 2 kilometers underground, and the volcanic gas is over 600 degrees Celsius. Sulfur spontaneously combusts. It's a sight it's extremely rare to see anywhere in the world. And the blue flames of Ijen are just one of Java's incredible volcanic spectacles. The reason Indonesia has so many volcanoes is its position in relation to the huge slabs or plates that make up the Earth's crust. This map shows the plates that make up the surface of the Earth. At the edges of the plates, where they subside, it's easy for volcanoes to form. 4 plates meet around Indonesia: the Eurasian, Pacific, Philippine Sea, and Australian plates. 6,000 kilometers of land in Indonesia face the edge of these plates, the greatest length for one country in the world. Many volcanoes have formed as a result. It is also thought that the Australian plate has a major effect on Java. Around Java, the Australian plate has sunk below the Eurasian plate. It moves at a speed of 7 centimeters per year. Compared with other plates, this is extremely fast. When the plates sink, it brings moisture down to the mantle. When the water hits the mantle, it lowers the melting point and creates magma. As the Australian plate moves around Java, it brings up a lot of moisture, creating a large amount of magma and causing constant volcanic activity. The crew are back on the move, this time to visit Tengah, another of Java's legendary volcanic sites. A caldera is formed by the collapse of land after a volcanic eruption.
Yeah. Very big, eh?
And Tengah caldera is one of the largest calderas in the world. It covers around 6,200 hectares, is 230 meters deep, and its outer rim is about 30 kilometers. It was created around 50,000 years ago by a huge eruption. After this, there were more eruptions inside the caldera, creating many smaller volcanoes. The scars of lava flow are clear to see. Large hill-like humps were created by the buildup of lava. Hiramu and the crew are keen to go down into the caldera and take a closer look. At the base, what looks like a desert stretches out before them. This area is known locally as Sigara Wedi, the Sea of Sand. Inside Tenga caldera, 4 volcanoes sit side by side. One of these, Bromo, is still very active. In the last 200 years, 58 eruptions have been recorded. And in 2010, it erupted continuously for 7 months. Bromo's magma contains a large amount of volcanic gas, and unlike some, its magma isn't very sticky. When it erupts, its lava shatters in the air and falls to the ground as volcanic sand. As Bromo frequently erupts, access is often forbidden. The crew are lucky to get this close. Keen to see how active Bromo is, they climb to the summit, 130 meters from the base of the caldera. It's hard going.
Sand is hard to walk, eh? Especially the dust.
Gas?
Dusty.
Dusty, yes.
Yes. And dry season, it's very dusty. Oh, look at that. The wind up there.
It's a relief to reach the top.
Here is a Bromo crater. Yeah? You see that steam? Yeah? This is a sign of the active of the volcano.
Tenga caldera slowly disappears as daylight fades. Next morning, the crew are up early, hoping to capture a special scene. Swirling fog slowly rises above the sea of sand. The volcanic sand at Tenga is porous and contains moisture. As the sun warms the moisture, it evaporates, creating fog, and an ethereal sight unique to Tenga. Beyond the borders of the caldera is a very different scene. Green fields cover the land, and on the edge of Tengah's rim is a village, Kemero Lawang. This is fertile farmland. When Bromo erupts, volcanic sand is blown onto the land. It contains a wealth of minerals and nutrients and is better than any fertilizer. Java is a flourishing agricultural center. 35 million tons of rice alone is produced here every year. The land nurtured by the volcanoes provides food for local people and export. Subsequently, the volcanoes are seen by many as a blessing. However, there's another side to living in their shadow. Merapi volcano is in the center of Java. Merapi means mountain of fire, and in the last 200 years, it has claimed over 2,000 victims. In October 2010, it was the scene of a devastating eruption. Around 300 people were killed, and more than 320,000 affected. Kyoto University Professor Emeritus Kazuhiro Ishihara is a volcano specialist and is visiting Java to see the aftermath of Merapi's 2010 eruption. The village that suffered the greatest destruction once stood here. Kaliadamo was home to 500 people before Merapi struck. The village was hit by a pyroclastic flow of liquid rocks and gases that swept down the volcano at over 100 kilometers an hour. Kaliadamo was engulfed and 43 people died. Professor Ishihara shows the crew something that clearly demonstrates the power of the pyroclastic flow. Intense heat scorched trees in a fraction of a second. The magma that rises from Merapi's magma chamber is very sticky. It doesn't flow down the volcano. It piles up instead and gradually hardens. This mass of hardened magma is known as a lava dome. The lava dome creates the impression that the volcano is calm. But when the pressure of the magma reaches a certain level, the dome collapses and a pyroclastic flow pours down. In 2010, the flow at Merapi moved at an incredible speed. And near the summit, a number of lava domes are clearly forming again. The Indonesian government constantly monitors Merapi. In the nearby town of Yogyakarta, is the Merapi Volcano Observatory. A team of more than 70 monitors Merapi, with state-of-the-art equipment supplied with help from overseas, including Japan and America. Kilometers west of Merapi is another observatory manned by staff that sleep in shifts so they can monitor the volcano around the clock. This is crucial work, and Professor Ishihara believes their findings could benefit people living in other volcanic countries. The final stage of the crew's exploration of Java's volcanoes takes them to the far west of the island. Their destination is possibly the most famous volcanic island in history, Krakatoa. An eruption at Krakatoa in 1883 was so big it will never be forgotten. This is where the 1883 eruption took place. Back then, Krakatoa was a large island with a 30-kilometer boundary. An old drawing shows Krakatoa as it once was. But that was about to change. At 10 a.m. on August the 27th, 1883, the eruption began. Krakatoa was formed from 3 volcanoes, and they erupted one after the other for over 3 months. It was one of the deadliest and most destructive volcanic events in recorded history. At least 36,000 deaths were attributed to the eruption and the tsunamis it created. 20 cubic kilometers of magma were released. As a result of the eruption, 2/3 of Krakatoa collapsed, destroying most of the island and the surrounding archipelago. Krakatoa sank to the seabed. But there is still land here. Doni is keen to show the crew the legacy of the legendary eruption.
They go up there. Good, huh?
A streak of black rock runs up the cliff. It's hardened magma, one of several vent veins that stretch to the summit of a much smaller but still active volcano. In 1883, magma continued to build deep beneath the ocean. Eventually, the seabed erupted. In 1927, 44 years after Krakatoa erupted, a new volcano was born. It was named Anak Krakatoa, which means the child of Krakatoa. And it's still growing. This photograph was taken in 1929, 2 years after Anak Krakatoa appeared. By 1978, the height of the volcano had reached 180 meters. By 1993, it was over 250 meters tall. It's now approaching 400 meters and calculated to be growing by 4.9 meters each year. And in 2009, it erupted. Doni witnessed it firsthand. This is film taken at the time. volcanic activity at Anak Krakatoa lasted for 3 months. Anak Krakatoa continues to grow, and the crew hope to find out if there are any signs of an imminent eruption. They've been granted special permission to land and head towards the crater with government volcano warden Anton Tripambudi. The side of the volcano is littered with ash and cinder. Chunks of lava cover the ground too. It's a bleak and foreboding landscape. As they approach the crater, they can see that its sides are white with sulfur. Volcanic gas seeps ominously through cracks in the ground. People aren't allowed any closer to the crater than this. Fortunately, the crew have come prepared with a piece of equipment that will let them take an unparalleled look at Anak Krakatoa. A small remote control helicopter has been fitted with a camera. It's a great thrill for Doni and the crew as Anak Krakatoa's crater comes into view. Three lava domes have formed, and one has grown considerably.
Ya, sedikit putar ke kanan.
Sulfur gushes out from a large section of the crater. Doni thinks Anak Krakatoa could erupt at any time. But he's thrilled to have a bird's eye view of the volcano. Before the crew leaves, they have a chance to see another side of volcanic island life. On the south side of Anak Krakatoa, a forest has grown. Seed carried by the ocean has taken root and flourished. Wildlife has found a home, and a new ecosystem has been born. It's one last reminder of the incredible natural forces they have witnessed.
Volcano is mother of the nature. From time to time, and then when some volcano erupting, and build another new land. We're living on the edge, yeah? I mean, volcano is around us. Yeah? We cannot run away. But volcano also gives us a good thing.
For the people of Java, living in the shadow of volcanoes can be both a blessing and a curse. But as the great nature crew have seen, the power and beauty of these mountains of fire are like nothing else on Earth.